Continuing now with our lead story, President Obama slapping sanctions on Russia for election hacking and harassment. Among other things, the State Department is shutting down 2 Russian compounds and declaring 35 Russian intelligence operatives persona non grata. House Speaker Paul Ryan called the president's actions, quote, long overdue. Meantime, one top Russian official called the action, quote, the death throes of political corpses. Joining us now from Houston, national security analyst Arash Aramesh, and from Washington, Cliff May, founder of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Arash, we'll start with you. So big stuff going on. Frankly, it feels to me like a lame duck president quacking lame duck quacks.
Eric, don't echo what the Russian embassy just tweeted, because, you know, that's what the Russians would like you to think, and that's what the Russians would like to say. They tweeted this lame duck, sort of taking a page now from Donald Trump's Twitter manual to mock everything and make fun of everything. But here's what happened. They meddled in our election. Our president has every right to target them, to hit them back. He should have done it sooner. I'm glad he is doing it, and I would hope he would declassify more info. And guess what? I want to see if Donald Trump, with all his pro-Russia friendly, love from Russia rhetoric, is really going to reverse what President Obama has done correctly, rightly, and justifiably. I want to see much tougher action against Russia, because you know what? Frankly, the Russians are not just a rival. They are a fierce adversary, and they have exactly opposite interests in the region, in the Middle East, in Europe, and here now on the Western Hemisphere. Okay, look, Cliff, what do you think of the sanctions that President Obama released today? Do you think they'll have the teeth that Arash thinks they will have? Or is this more a play to kind of box President-elect Donald Trump, becoming President Donald Trump, in a corner? What are you going to do? Go against the sanctions?
Yeah, look, first of all, these sanctions are a day late and a ruble short. And secondly, they're mostly symbolic. They target individuals, companies, government agencies that don't have assets in the U.S., that aren't coming to the U.S. So this is largely for show. What I hope it does focus on is something that the Obama administration did not focus on in a comprehensive manner during the past 8 years, and that is the threat of both cyber espionage and cyber warfare, kinetic warfare, doing destructive activities. Espionage we all do. We're using cyber espionage as well. We don't know whether the Russians interfered. Well, they interfered in our election. We don't know that they had any impact on our election. Of course, President Obama interfered in Israel's elections just a couple of years ago, spent taxpayer money to try to defeat Netanyahu. So it's good for the goose, maybe good for the gander. What we really need to do here is focus on cyber espionage and decide where our red lines are. And as far as cyber warfare goes, we need to run a cyber arms race, and we need to win it.
Let me ask you, Arash. So the Obama administration decided that they're going to expel some 35 Russian diplomats that they call, I guess that would be called spies. Otherwise, you would let them stay. So they're going to get rid of them. And they're shutting down 2 compounds that they figured were spy, let's call them hubs or cells. But why now? I mean, why now? If they knew about these things, why didn't they get rid of these things months or years ago?
We have confirmation now from 17 different intelligence agencies that not only the Russians were involved, but very high.
Do we?
Oh, we do.
We do. Do we have
FBI,
evidence?
CIA.
Do we have any evidence?
We do have evidence.
Where is it?
Absolutely.
Where is it?
It would be declassified. Well, you know what? Do you trust the Russians, or do you trust the American?
I don't know
17
why
American
President
intelligence
Obama
agencies
decided to go with the sanctions without showing just one form of evidence. Just prove it. I'm not saying he doesn't have it, but before you do something, show it.
And this is rich. This is really rich. I'm surprised that a conservative like yourself and someone at the FDD, Foundation for Defense of Democracies, and I have a lot of respect for Cliff, but you guys are taking the Russian side on this. This is, they meddled in American elections. We should hit them hard.
They did.
We should take action, and we should defend American interests.
Of course, but I want to see the proof.
I don't care who won.
I want to see the evidence. I'd like to see. All right, listen, maybe I don't mean anything. Here, let me read this, Arash. Let me read this. New York Times, right? Left wing. Let's call them left. They've been pro Obama. They've been pro Hillary. New York Times. I'm quoting. Despite the fanfare and political repercussions surrounding the announcement, it is not clear how much real effect the sanctions may have. Point being, no teeth. Quacks like a duck. It's got to be a duck.
Yeah, let me say
And
that
guess
again.
what? Go ahead,
I'm
go.
glad this
Go
was
ahead,
done. It's largely symbolic, but the bigger picture here is that the Chinese, for example, have been stealing libraries of valuable classified information from us for years without repercussions. The North Koreans have done damage, and the Iranians are the other adversaries we have in the cyber domain. We need policies, and I hope we'll have them in the next administration. I'm not guaranteeing that we will. That deals with all of these.
And you're right. And Cliff is right. We should go after both. We should.
President Obama had 8 years to be doing this. At 8 years. And he also, remember, he's the guy who said, listen, after the election, after I get reelected, I'll have a lot more flexibility. Now, all of a sudden, with 22 more days before he has to leave office, he's going to put this big divide between the U.S. and Russia and say, hey, Donald Trump, here are the keys to the White House. Good luck.
Oh, the big divide between the U.S. and Russia existed the day that Putin took office, right before New Year's in 1999, in 2000, as a matter of fact. So that big divide has always been there.
But it wasn't there when he said Hillary Clinton over there to, quote, reset. It wasn't there when he offered that when I get reelected, we'll have more flexibility.
And you know what? And Cliff is right. And Cliff is right. If the Iranians and the Chinese and the Russians, or anybody for that matter, is hurting American interest, we should go after them. We should do
Cliff
it
isn't right.
stiffly.
We're all
we should
right.
do it
we all
firmly.
agree on that.
And we haven't done it.
No one said differently.
I just want to know. Can Obama do anything to be enough? I mean, can Obama do anything right for you to praise him?
You know what he can do? He can facilitate a smooth transition of power from Obama to Trump presidency. Cliff, go ahead.
Well, tell Trump to get off Twitter first, and he will have a much smoother transition.
Just want to say, you're right about President Putin, no question about it, and the reset with Russia that President Obama attempted, blaming President Bush for all the problems with Russia. That was something that I hope has been learned, something was learned from that. Right now, what we have is a problem, and that has not been addressed. Again, with cyber espionage, we conducted too, so we have to be careful how much we do, and cyber warfare, which could be as dangerous as any kinetic warfare we face. And I do think that's the thing. What I would like to see, and I agree with Eric on this, you would like to see the president and the president-elect talking about how one can help the other. That was not done in terms of UNESCO. That has not been done here, right. and that's going to be a problem for the next 3 weeks.
I got 20 seconds, Suresh. Last word.
You know, you, myself, and Cliff, our hearts are in the right place. We disagree on policy, but here's what we should all agree on. Russia is not a friend of the United States or the American people. It's an adversary. Putin is an adversary, and they have to be dealt with short-term and long-term.
We'll leave it right there. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Coming up next, the